just like $150 dryer, right?
All right, you asked for it. Let's talk about this $150 dryer.
We
That
we we hear this all the time, and while you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, but what about the $150 dryer you got on your sales floor? So that is your arch nemesis in so many different ways, and like Matt battles that on the daily with customers. Like, I just want to break it down real quick because it's such a common thing that I feel like we're here with Brad Fanning with Fanning's Appliances, Matt Murphy with New Appliance Wholesale, and me, Scott, with New Appliances. So, EJ, a day in the life of an appliance store, week two. How's it going?
yeah, it's EJ's Appliance Repair and Sales. That's my new pitch at BNI. It's been an exciting week since the last video. We've we got our truck before the last one. We spent a little while moving all the stuff around and getting it organized. That was a little bit bigger of a chore than I thought it was going to be. Thankfully, you didn't send everything all in one. Uh, Otherwise, I don't know if I'd have been able to breathe. But we've been doing pretty good. So we've got everything staged, cleaned, show ready. The stuff comes in looking pretty good. You just get the fingerprints off the stainless and make sure everything looks pretty. It's
Yeah,
been going good.
that's
We've
awesome.
selling some stuff. We've started selling.
Woo.
Are
So
you
are you
selling mainly to repair customers? Are you getting walk-in traffic? Like, what's the balance?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it was a surprising to me that it's about 50-50 uh, between repair and then the other half being walk-in or word of mouth. We're actually getting some people calling now and saying, "Hey, I'm looking for this or whatever." But the fun part is the e-commerce side is really working with the techs in the field. Excuse me. What's really cool is we got repair customers like we planned that get to the point where they want to replace, and the technicians are now able to pull their laptop or their iPad out, show them what we have, and then they send me a message of what the customer wants. And then I call them back at the end of the day, and I'm closing the deals. And the fun thing is, we close probably 90% of those. The
It's awesome.
customer already has that trust. They know what they want, uh, and all I got to do is close the deal.
So what's getting you across the finish line? Because like I think a lot of people struggle with phone sales more so than sales in the store. So like if you're in front of the product, you got the customer in front of you, and it's something that they're interested in, that's a pretty easy sale to knock out. But how are you coming in fresh into the interaction after one of your employees has been in the home and establishing a relationship that makes them comfortable enough to buy over the phone without having seen the product in person yet?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the answer that we theorized starting this whole thing. We wanted to test that in-home trust with the technician, and that's absolutely what's doing it. Uh, so I want to say it's like two or three part, but that's the gist of it, and the other two lead into the trust, right? We got the stuff in. The guys were kind of skeptical of what we got and what it is it worth it? In order to sell something to somebody, you really got to believe in it. Otherwise, you're just scamming people, right?
Hmm.
So when they come into the store, I walk them around to, five or six different things. I say, hey, look at this. Open the doors. See how clean it is? It's brand new, still got the tape in it. There's a couple little scratches, but look at the features, and here's the prices. and they're blown away. So, I mean, first I had to sell 3 skeptical technicians. And, you know,
That's
I
probably
already
the
knew
hardest sell.
it is. And then it's the presentation, because the customer can't see it until I got the website. And when I got most of the stuff posted on the website with descriptions and good pictures, they see what they're buying. And the rest of it is those two leading into the trust. The technicians already sold it. When I'm getting on the phone, they're like, hey, Adam was great. So nice. Fortunately, we got to this point where we need a new one. I'm like, hey, I got you covered. What do you want? Did he talk about some of the options? And they're like, yeah, I want that Frigidaire French door. It looked nice, and tell me about it. And I tell them a few extra features, and it's closing the deals. Honestly, the pricing and the quality of the product we're getting from new sells it. All I got to do is have it available.
It sounds very just transactional, where they're like, you know, the sales side, like when the technician's in the home, I picture that just being like the customer's like, what do you recommend and why? And then they just give honest feedback on what they have, and then they look at the website and see if there's something that matches that. It's not really even a sale, right?
Yeah, I mean, to that extent, it sells itself. So it's not really something they got to work on.
Yeah.
I don't love the word transactional, because as a repair company, we focus on the service side, and we put customers into 2 boxes primarily: transactional customers or relational customers. And to your point, I think the relational side of the service that we provide in their house,
Yeah.
makes this transaction
Yeah.
more transactional, because
Like easier.
They,
Like you don't
they've
have to
already
push
built
it.
the reputation. Yeah, they built the relationship. They built the trust in house. They're handing it off to me, and B and I, we call that a warm handshake, where you're taking somebody directly to the next person, and you say, this guy's going to take it over the edge. And you kind of look at it like in big box, like not big box appliance stores, but like a car dealership.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to the salesman, and then he takes you to the sales guy that actually closes the deal.
Yeah.
And you already built the relationship.
So, what are your techs doing in the house that gets the customer to that point? Like, how are they working through the process of helping the customer decide if repair or replacement's right for them? And then how do you take it that next step to get them into a product that makes sense for them? You know, I mean, I guess where I always struggle is the right option for a customer is maybe not always something you have in stock. So like, how are they articulating that or massaging that into something that still translates into a sale?
Yeah, that's a tough one to answer, because when the customer wants something very specific, that's probably the 10% that we struggle with. Like we just had a person the other day that wanted a fingerprint resistant slate GE dishwasher. And you know, when you get into those specific colors,
Yeah.
you know, Whirlpool don't have the same color as GE.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stainless is stainless, but all of these other versions of stainless are very different. And you know, sometimes the brands matter to people. I was able to sell a Frigidaire French door just yesterday because the rest of the kitchen was already Frigidaire, and guess what? I had 2 of them. So take your pick, buddy. But making the decision to replace, that's something we've been doing for 6 years. You know, we're there to solve their problem. We provide solutions. We don't try to make them do what we want them to do. We just provide them with solutions, hopefully ones that we offer. And, you know, when we got to the point before we were doing this, we would try to make a recommendation on what to buy and where. But now it's us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just having that conversation. What are you looking for? I'm learning that in the store. So when people walk in, they're like, "Hey, you got any fridges? What kind are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
What are you trying to do?" Yeah. Sometimes they mean they want a $200 busted up used fridge. We don't do those. You don't have to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So do you have a particular technician that's excelling on the sales side?
Absolutely. Adam.
Yeah.
Adam is.
What makes him excel, do you think? Is it a personality thing or
Knowledge piece?
It's both of those, actually. This is the guy that uses words like surfactant and enzyme when he's talking about
he's Matt.
dishwasher. Yeah. And the funny thing is he had previously worked at one of those big boxes, the orange one.
Yeah.
But he didn't sell appliances, but, he comes from that side, too. He's just really good at building the relationship with the customer. My other guys are good. They're really good techs, and they build that relationship. I think Adam just happened to have more of a sales side to him. So people just like him. He's young, but he looks younger than what he is. But he's mature and has a knowledge beyond the age that he looks. So people just kind of melt in his hand when it comes to this.
So Brad, like what makes a good salesperson in your retail stores? Like what characteristics are you looking for? Like, you've got lots of salespeople. I'm sure there's some sort of a science behind what makes it tick, right?
So I was just at a store today. Confidence is probably one of the biggest things. Just confidence in knowing what you're doing, because in the sales side, people are coming to you. You're not coming to them. So, like, as a salesman, we're not pushy with our sales tactic. Like, I'm not shoving stuff down your throat. The products that we have priced sell themselves. We look for people that are confident, but always be closing is the ABCs of selling. Always be closing. Rebuttals is another big thing. I like witty people. A good witty salesman, laughter is sells stuff really well too. If you have a customer laughing, you have a customer spending, and that's my opinion. People who I want them to build rapport. Like, so the difference between us and like a big box store is the same person that you deal with today is the same person that you're going to deal with a year from now. And customers, like, I was in a store today, and the ladies, multiple people came in specifically to talk to specific salespeople. They didn't want to talk to somebody else. They wanted to talk to the person that they talked to last time. So with us, we build rapport with our customers, which I think is good as well. You know what I mean? Like, but those are probably the main points for us.
Right.
Is what we look for.
So
go ahead.
Brad, I was just going to ask, because this is something that I've been learning on this side. I always go to the box store and price shop, and I want to see what's out there and see what the features are, what they're selling them for, because that was my competition in repair. And I'm trying to teach my techs to do that. Do you guys intentionally do anything like that, like walk them around the store or bring in a product and just train so they understand what it is?
So with appliances, we could probably do better on training new features. So we are taught the new features that come out, but what I want in my stores is I want my salespeople to get up. I want them to greet the customer. If they've never heard of us or don't know if it's the first time, we welcome them. Welcome. You know what I mean? We appreciate you coming in. And then offering to walk them around and show them what they want while explaining exactly who we are, what we do, and what makes us different from our competitors. And then you get the vibe if they want you to hang around or if they're just browsing, you know, hey, look, you can, you know, if you need something, just let us know. And then we follow back up with them later. Before they walk out the door, I want them following back up with the customer, making sure that their needs were taken care of. The biggest thing with us is if they don't find something that they want, we can locate it for them, we can get it, or we can give you a recommendation. But I want there to be a second point of contact at least before they walk out of the store. But I think that I could do a better job of explaining every detail. But there's so many, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have so much stuff and everything's always changing. But my salespeople, they actually make the sales sheets. So they are literally putting the, like you showed me your sales sheets earlier. They're putting the features on every single item. And I change pricing every week, and every item that comes into the store, we're putting a new sheet on. So it is repetitive in their head seeing the features for that model, and I put serial numbers on. So like it's actually teaching them specifics subconsciously as they're doing it every week. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. That's probably a good segue here to the other thing we wanted to talk about, right? The price sheets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know Scott's itching to talk about this dryer situation, but stay tuned. We're going to get Scott riled up here in a minute. But first, we're going to do a little fun stuff, and then we'll have some really good fun. So one of the early struggles or questions I had was, how do you display the prices on each appliance? And we had some great conversation offline, and I think we should go over some of that stuff too. So you guys shared, Brad, you shared a few great pictures of your prices. Scott hooked me up with his guy in the store that gave me some pictures too. And of course, I've been to the box stores. What are some of the things that you guys recommended to me to make sure we got on it?
So number one is savings that we focus on. That is the biggest number on our price tag. And then we go down into the comparable price. But more than that, the feature call out. So we have what we call the big three, which are three features, three of the highest level features that are the most important to the person. So like, for instance, if I have a side-by-side refrigerator and it's counter depth is going to be one of those feature call outs. The cubic feet, ice and water, you know, things like that. The three largest, most impactful features on there. And that works in two ways. One is the customer sees it and, you know, they absorb it, but it also helps support the salesman if they're, you know, trying to recall what the features and functions are of it. You give them the most important thing right there on the appliance. That's pretty much in a summary what we do. Brad, what do you do?
So we do different things in different states. So in one of our states, we break it down into category, like you're brand new in the box, your scratch and dent, your open box, and in some stores we have pre-owned, and some stores we don't. So we use color coding receipts to do that. What we do here is we do pretty much the same thing you do. We highlight the features, the MSRP, our price, a few basic features. We actually expand because we have so many products. We expand on those super weird, like funky items, like your 33-inch fridges. So we'll make like a weird, like you know, like the 1940s and 30s, like comic books, bop. You know what I mean? When like Superman. So we cut those out in a bright color, and we'll write like 33-inch or counter depth or something, and we'll actually put
call
that.
Outs.
We do that just because people don't know by just walk. They don't. I have counter depth on the sheet, but sometimes people don't read all that stuff. But they will see a big bright orange sticker that says counter depth. You know what I mean? Like, so it just it brings it out a little bit more. And when you've got 20 fridges in a row, it's easier to see.
Yeah, it's like visual filters. Like if you're filtering on a website, like whatever you're filtering by, you want to call those out. We did the same thing a while ago. We had these little squares with all the features. So it'd be like stainless steel tub or plastic tub, or, we'd have all those different filters that we would normally put on the website and we'd stick on there. We stopped because those stickers just started getting all, it looked crazy on the appliance. We could never get it perfectly straight. We always had the intention of baking that back into the sales tag itself. We just haven't got around to it. But yeah, the categories, so we call them buckets. So when someone comes into our store, we try and figure out what their bucket is and then show them all the products inside of that bucket. So if they're a counter depth bucket, I want to make sure that they see all the counter depth options before they go on to the next bucket.
Absolutely. So that was great information that they shared with me. And of course, I had to do my own twist. If you haven't noticed, I'm kind of big on branding. I even wear blue shoes. That's what I do. All of my social media posts match. It's probably the easiest form of marketing is establishing a brand. So I took that into my price tags. So
That's great.
This is what most of my social media posts look like with the same background. It looks a little different, but you can see I called out the savings, the price, the retail price, the condition, and then the 3 call outs. It's a little crowded. But then the warranty. So we're learning. I had one of my employees' wives write it out with a calligraphy marker. Made it look nice. I'm realizing it's not quite as quick or repeatable. It's not scalable in any way.
Can you type it?
I could. And my original one, I had typed it out on Canva. And it was like the permanent marker font to where it looked like it's Sharpie. Some of the people are saying, like, here's a blank one on a stand. That maybe I could do dry erase. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. I just want it to look as clean and presentable as possible and uniform. But here's one thing that we realized. You see the difference between the two. One is a stand-up. These are 5x7. And they just slide in, of course, like a picture. This one here, I got 15 in a pack for like $7. It's magnetic, and it has a sleeve that you can pull the stuff in and out of. So, of course, most of the fridges, I could just walk up to and slap it on there. But, of course, we're keeping them nice and neat. I'm kind of finding out that it's a little bit of a challenge on the gas ranges.
Where do you put it? Yeah.
Unless they have the griddle plate in the middle. And there's 5x7's too big to be magnetic. But what we're doing here is we're using these stands for the premium ones. So like one thing, I kind of going back to the other topic of the training. One thing I'm doing when I'm teaching the techs, because I'm the in-house sales for right now until we get it figured out. I'm showing them only the ones I really want to push. So if you're talking about premium, not necessarily the high-end brand, but the ones that I really want to push, the ones I feel like are the best deal for the customer and the highest profit margin, honestly. And you know what? The honest thing is, they match. The ones that we have the best profit on turn out to be the ones that are the best value for them. And, it really feels good to be able to say, I get this for a great price, so I can give it to them for a great price. And we just tell them, I don't say, hey, I'm making lots of money on this. But that's why we're in business. But I get to...
Just like $150 dryer, right?
All right. You asked for it. Let's talk about this $150 dryer.
We we hear this all the time, and while you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, but what about the $150 dryer you got on your sales floor? So that is your arch nemesis in so many different ways, and like Matt battles that on the daily with customers. Like, I just want to break it down real quick because it's such a common thing that I feel like so okay, so whenever I started out refurbishing stuff, forever ago, I would refurbish everything under the sun I could get my hands on. If I could pick up a free dishwasher on the side of the road, I'm going to fix that thing. Doesn't matter what it's going to take to fix it. It's free. Why would I not do it? It's just my time, right? And I'm going to sell it. And of course, like the amount of parts I put into it, I wouldn't go over what I'm going to sell it for naturally. But I would refurbish anything under the sun and sell it. Then working my way into a store, what you end up noticing is whenever you have products like that in your sales room floor, it confuses the customer. So if you have a customer that walks in your door and they see a $150 dryer sitting next to a brand new Speed Queen, they're like, what have I stumbled upon here? What is this sorcery? So it confuses the customer of what your brand is what you sell. And I'm going to beat you up on this because you need to get beat up on this.
Amen.
So it confuses the customer, but also like let's talk about that the cost structure of that one dryer first. So you have a Whirlpool. It's the second to the last generation direct drive style Whirlpool dryer. I get why you discounted it to the level that you did because it's a little ugly, and you're in liquidation mode right now. So how much time do you think went into testing, refurbishing, making it ready? Let's break the numbers down. Like, what do you actually have into it?
Let's just say 3 hours. I think this one worked when we got it.
3 hours.
Oh my God.
That's a long time. I was expecting one.
It probably is one, but I'm just playing along.
Love it.
I mean, if we took it apart, cleaned it, tested it for a whole cycle, whatever. Less than 3 hours.
All right, less than 3 hours.
It wasn't me either, so it's a young guy.
Yeah.
That may or may not have known how. Okay.
Yeah,
Let me tell you how to get your money out of it.
See, I'm supposed to be the repair expert in the room, and y'all beating me up.
Well, that's a big thing because like it's not just repair; it's actually refurbishing. You know, you have to go in, you have to clean it, and you have to do all these additional things other than just make it work, right? So you have this thing that you have, $30-$40 worth of labor into. You put it under sales room floor, and there's lots of different things to consider here. If you sell it and you get a warranty call on it, what does a warranty cost you to go out to someone's house?
Oh, Lord.
Just if you're guessing and just to average.
You're stressing me out. So
labor.
My cost of doing business is about $100. So like our service charge is $119, and if I had to send a tech, our average ticket value is $250. So I mean, playing the numbers that you are, which is fair, $100 to $250 on average, it would cost.
So let's just call it $100, right? So it costs you $100 to send someone out there. And even if it's a thermal fuse, I don't know what you guys get thermal fuses for, but they're, a couple bucks. So you got a couple dollars in a part, you have $100 on a service call, and you've got a couple hours of labor put into it. We don't even need like rough numbers. We already know that we're shooting for breaking even right off the gate if something goes wrong. But now let's talk about categories. So there's a difference between customers that are shopping for a single dryer and a washer dryer set. So one is a replace customer that you're going to be very familiar with on the service side. They're replacing an appliance because one broke. And a washer dryer set customer could be that customer too, but they may also just be replacing or moving into a new place. So specifically with dryers though, you have ventilation if you're in the appliance world, you know how big of a deal ventilation is on tripping thermal fuses, burning out the heating element too fast. For us, it's a really big deal down here in Texas. It's probably 5 to 15% of our warranty calls on dryers have nothing to do, or it's probably even higher than that. It's probably like 20 to 25% have nothing to do with the dryer itself. It's either the outlet or the ventilation that caused the issue. So in that specific category that you have selected to put on your showroom floor, 25% of the time, you're going to go on a service call that has nothing to do with the dryer itself that costs you $100 to do it. So let's just average that out, $25 plus what you have into it. You're already shooting for breaking even just by having it there. But now let's go further. Let's take the gloves off now. So how many customers do you get in your and it's not just you. Like this is literally like industry wide. I see it all the time, and it irks me. How many customers did you have in your door last week, physically walking in the door?
I'd say 15 or so.
And then how many of those people were looking for a dryer?
Maybe one.
So 10%. So if you have 10% of your customers that walk in your door that are looking for a dryer, and you show them something that heavily discounted, of course they're going to buy it. Like you've now taken the opportunity to sell them something higher price and force them to buy the cheapest thing. Because I'm that customer. Like if I go to Best Buy or somewhere and I'm looking for like a $700 dryer and I see that thing, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to buy that thing because it's so cheap. Why wouldn't I do it? So your opportunity cost is kind of lost with that product whenever you sell it versus a higher margin item. And I see it every single day where people, they get something and they're like, oh, it's free money. But if you actually back it up, it is free money if it's just you and there's no overhead costs and you are the business. That is free money. I agree. If it's your labor and everything. But once you turn it into a business and you have a storefront and you have customers and you have a certain amount of customers that come in, like that's where you really got to step back and look at the true breakdown of it.
That's true. What do you recommend to price something like that dryer?
I would set it on fire. If
put it on the curb.
Well, you got to look at your pricing flow. You talk about, Brad, because you have a store that sells refurbished and scratch and dent as well.
So we sell refurbished, in that specific, not here, but up there. We sell them. We take the Holloways, we refurbish them ourselves. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here. And your dryer, I will get you 10 times what you paid out of that dryer than what you have in it by just keeping it in your store. You price it right below what a new dryer costs, and you just keep it there. And anytime you ever get a rebuttal saying, hey, look, your price is too high, you say, hey, I have this used one for $50 cheaper, which you will never sell, but it will make your new one sell 10 times quicker. And you will literally use that busted up dryer and you will make thousands of dollars just having it sit in the corner looking like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree. You know what I mean? Like,
that's genius.
Well, it goes back to the same thing we talked about when we were planning out your initial assortment, right? You buy certain things that have low margins so that you can sell the things that have high margins. It's the same kind of concept. Like you have the thing on the floor that sucks if you sell it by itself, but it's meant to supercharge selling all the things that actually make you money. Like, you're not going to sell somebody that needs a full kitchen of appliances 3 out of the 4 pieces and tell them to go to a big box store to buy the missing piece. If you have all 4 pieces, you have the microwave, stove, dishwasher, and refrigerator, even if you don't make hardly anything on the dishwasher and microwave, just because you have those pieces, you're able to sell the things that actually make you money, like the refrigerator and the range.
We played around with different ways to liquidate stuff in this scenario. So we also do this thing called garage sale, where we literally just have a Facebook marketplace and we post it as an individual item. And we're not really losing the opportunity of that customer, because that wasn't a customer that was coming to our store. It's a completely different channel. a completely different thing. The warranty's different. We're not sacrificing our brand. We're not, we're there. All the risk is kind of taken away, and you can still liquidate it in a different way. That might be something that unless you do the model that Brad's talking about, where you're
telling you.
You don't focus on selling the thing. You focus on using the thing to sell something that actually makes you money.
Exactly. 100%.
I mean, I could see that. And of course, Brad's got a huge store. And my store's big enough. I've got plenty of open spaces.
Yeah, you do.
Waiting on more stuff to come. So I could see taking, 2 to 3 spots on the floor for an old washer, an old dryer that don't look great, and it kind of shows them, hey, here's this other thing. Because in that space, the used, not good looking stuff, if somebody wanted to buy it for, say, $300 or $400, then I'm making my money. It might be worth it, but otherwise, it's just going to show them this newer thing, maybe with small flaws, but with a 1-year warranty, is so much more valuable than this. I went into it with the mindset, I just want to get rid of it. And, I had previously been selling stuff on Facebook, and that's about the going rate for that thing on Facebook. But that's a pretty solid idea there.
But they don't get any of the value of EJ. They don't get the value of what you do.
You got to take the Facebook mentality out of it. You're not a Facebook seller anymore. Like, you have risen above, you know what I mean? Like, and you have to put yourself on a pedestal. Like, that's the best basic way I can say it.
Yeah.
You're out of the Facebook trenches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you offer more premium services than your competitors on Facebook Marketplace.
That fits too. After we were talking about the pricing sheets and the branding, my brand carries weight. It tells a story, and it doesn't tell the story of, hey, I have cheap stuff.
It doesn't tell the story of taillight warranties.
So he said in the pre-roll, what kind of warranty you put on that? I'm like, taillight. Everybody's heard that joke, but if you haven't, as soon as you can't see the taillights anymore, warranty's over. It's expired. I don't even know you. I don't know that this thing ever happened. There's no documentation it happened. Prove it.
Yeah, it's such a common thing. You see it everywhere. We kind of figured out after doing a bunch of refurbishing. So we refurbish certain models of Whirlpool and certain models of GE. We stick to very reduced SKUs, and we repeat it over and over and over again. And we did that for lots of different reasons. But, it all comes back to like what your cost goes into it, and you have to make money on it, and you have to break down every single product that you have and figure out what's in it first. And what we did when we figured that out is we physically can't sell anything that we refurbish for less than $400. So we're not going to touch anything that won't bring that kind of money to begin with. And that's kind of where we landed on that. But on that note, what are you experiencing? What are you selling right now? What categories of appliances are you selling? What's popular and what's?
Well, the two main things is refrigerators and washers, and that's leads into this discussion. Good job. I said I got I think 3 top load process stuff on this first truck. I've already sold 2 out of the 3. So now what? Now people come in, they say, hey, you got any used top load washers? I have this one scratch and dent, and then I have these 3 or 4 new ones. Brand new, not new NEU. But it takes away the options. So I was able to easily sell the other 2 because that difference between this stuff that looks great and has never been used with a 1 year warranty next to the stuff that's new and never been used, and with a 1 year warranty, the price difference is great. It draws them to it. But now I'm out. Now what? What do I do next week when I don't have any washers?
Right. So like Matt, like tell us about the liquidation mixes that you normally see out there.
So, in my experience, you will sell a single washing machine at a 4-to-1 clip compared to any other product category. So, for every one refrigerator you move, you will probably sell 4 washers in the same time span. Laundry appliances are a huge demand, and typically it's a break-fix situation when somebody's shopping for a single washing machine. So it's a conversation, hey, my washer's dead and I work all week and my wife works all week and we are completely lost because we also have 3 kids at home that make an enormous amount of dirty clothing. So that is a customer that's coming in panicked. They don't feel comfortable with the idea of even having to shop for an appliance because they weren't planning on spending the money. And they need a very rapid solution. So, like, if you get a customer whose microwave's dead, they're probably going to take their time, weigh their options, make a decision over some longer period of time. But if you have a customer's washing machine's toast or their refrigerator's toast, they're going to make an impulse buy because they need to solve the problem today. And it's even more so with the washing machine than the fridge because a lot of people have some form of secondary refrigeration in their house, whether it's a garage fridge or a secondary freezer, or they have a mini fridge floating around from their kid that just got back from college. But there is nothing in your home that can do that task or take over some of that load. And nobody wants to voluntarily go to the laundromat if they can avoid it because those places are just gross. So if you start with that as your premise, you will always need to have laundry in stock. Now, the way you approach those sales needs to be a little bit smart in terms of what direction do you take the customer, right? So like you have access to Speed Queen brand new and you have healthy margins on Speed Queen. So if you are going to work the upsell process, you have the scratch and dent pieces and you have the conversation with the customer and you get them to understand the value of buying a Speed Queen, you sell them a Speed Queen, that keeps that product in circulation. So the more that you can upsell on that single washer purchase into a product that you have healthy margins on, that you always have stock on, or access to, like a Speed Queen or an ASCO front loader or potentially GE machines, although I know your margins are a little nebulous on those, you will always have those scratch and dent pieces to sell off of into the upsell. And you can save those for situations where you would otherwise lose the sale. It was the same thing we did back in my retail experience. The open box gets people into the door. You have a conversation with them about how they're going to use the product, how they live their lives, and you find a way to upsell them. If you can't upsell them, you sell them the open box. But if you can upsell them, you sell them the thing you have in stock or ready access to in much larger quantities. That would be my approach to that problem and how you address the laundry piece of it.
Yeah, and the other side, you know, we've been doing scratch net for a really long time, and the supply of the washer dryers never matches the demand. So it's always mixed loads. You know, like you just can't get the washers at the same pace of everything else. You're never going to get a washer dryer scratch and net load. And if you can, it's going to be really expensive and you probably don't want to buy it. So you have to find a solution for it. What Matt just said, the upsell into a heavy margin item is a great way to do it. Even those GE commercials, you know, the Speed Queen killers or whatever people call them, it's a good option. But if you can't get them there, what we've always done is we've refurbished our washer dryers, but we take Holloways and we refurbish them, but we do it like an assembly line. It's the same stuff that we wholesale in our Holloways, and they're killer if you do it, how we do it like an assembly line. So we have the Whirlpool VMW washer dryers. There's only the agitator model and the impeller model. And then we sell the Maytag Bravos as our premium line. We're selling those at $399 for the agitator washer, $449 for the impeller washer. And then if we're in a sales cycle, it's 10% off, 10 to 20% off of that. And then we have the GTW. Help me out, Matt, here. I'm not a model number guy.
GTW 485
or 465.
465. Yeah, the agitator, GE 5-knob type washer. We sell those at $499, $549, $499 each. And then we have the Maytag Bravos is our premium line. However, that's a a high efficiency machine with a glass lid. So that comes with lots of baggage. If people are expecting a direct drive style wash action and they have a glass lid, they're a more returned item just because they don't understand how they work. But we take a very select few models and we refurbish them on an assembly line. And we do that because the GTWs and the MVWs are basically the same machine. One has a mode shifter, one has a shift actuator. But if you take a step back on top of that, they're very close to being the same thing. So we can teach it at scale really quick, really easily, and it's repeatable. It's also important for warranties, what we described before. Your service call probably costs you twice as much as it costs you to run a delivery. At least it did for us. So if we have the same item in stock and we get a warranty call on it, well, we can just send a tech out there and swap it out. We don't have to send, or a delivery team out there to swap it out. We don't have to send a tech. And you are going to get service calls. Doesn't matter what you do to those Holloways, how good you are at what you do, you're going to get service calls on them. And your warranty should be long enough to where the customer feels comfortable buying it. So we do a 1-year warranty. So that's the way that we took Holloways, and you could do an element of that if you wanted to. You could do an element of what Matt said. But laundry is always going to be something you have to find a solution for.
So can I make an incredibly controversial statement that I think 2 out of the 4 of our group is going to vehemently disagree with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Top load laundry should die.
No.
Change my mind.
So it's shooting fish in a barrel. Anybody can. You don't even have to have a salesperson. If you just had top load washers at a good price point in a store, and you just had I'm from the South, so there's a lot of farmers. You go get your tomatoes, you pull up, they've got a little box, leave the money, weigh your tomatoes. That has a scale. If you had top load washers, you could do the same thing and just have a table with a credit card machine.
Free range laundry.
Yeah. And people will just come by the top load washers, take their washer and leave. It's the same basic principle. They sell without selling. Front load washers wash better in my opinion, but top load washers will always have a place and they'll never go away because people don't want to bend down and reach in. They want to just stick their hand down and grab.
But from a sales perspective, there's a few reasons that you really should recalibrate your expectations around selling laundry. So from the big box perspective, at least, we were molded into selling front load laundry. And, I happen to own front load laundry. I've owned it basically my whole life because I do agree with Brad that it genuinely does clean your clothes better. But Scott made the point of, well, it's a high efficiency machine, yada, yada. It doesn't fill all the way to the top with water. People have a panic attack about that. That's a great way to lead into what can be a very high margin sales opportunity. So when you talk to a customer that's shopping for a top load washing machine that hasn't bought one since the direct drive was a thing, they're going to be in for a culture shock, right? It's a totally different experience
Why is my lid
using
lock?
the appliance.
I don't
Why
want
is
a
my
lid
lid
lock?
lock? I don't
Why is my
understand
clothes
why it
still
takes
dry?
so long. Why? Yes. Why are my clothes still dry and why are there
that's an
still
issue.
stains? But like the reason that you should consider steering people towards front load laundry is because the wash action is superior to a modern top loader with reduced water usage. Now, you can make the argument all day, Speed Queen's great, it still fills to the top with water, but guess what? You're not doing a king-size comforter in a Speed Queen 3.27 cubic foot top loader. So if you're looking at the customer's needs and you understand that they haven't shopped for a washing machine in a long time, and they're probably going to be that person that has a freak out moment when they see their impeller top loader fill with maybe 2 inches worth of water and there's no visible water line. Front loaders address all of that because they work differently by their design. So people conceptually feel more comfortable with the machine not working the same way because they can visually identify this is not the thing I had before. And so, you know, I remember we were on the Service Alliance podcast. I wanted to chuck this in. A commenter had commented, you know, well, what machine would you sell grandma who's been doing wash longer than you've been alive? Well, I would sell them an all-in-one washer and dryer. And the reason I would do it, and I have done it very successfully, is because it works so differently and it breaks so many preconceived notions about how a laundry appliance should work that the customer's actually going to be willing to try to figure it out and use it. If you sell them a glass lid top loader with minimal explanation about how different that appliance is, they're going to have a meltdown when they do their first load of laundry or the first time they get their first unbalance error because they didn't scientifically load it. Like, if you get the customer into a product that is such a departure from what they've been used to for the last 20, 30, 40 years, they're going to invest the mental energy to try to figure it out. But if it looks the same, it smells the same, it feels the same, and then it does things that they don't expect, they're going to be upset, even if you told them all of this before they bought it.
I got one thing to say. If you are going to sell grandma on an all-in-one, for you people that might not be in the scratch and dent industry or are getting into the scratch and dent industry, make sure you print off the instruction manual and then staple it together and then hand it to grandma. Because I promise you she will call up here and she doesn't want a PDF on her phone. She wants to be able to flip through
But
the
she'll
manual.
actually read it. Like, she
Right,
actually,
exactly.
She does what you're supposed to do, which solves all of the problems that we just talked about.
100%.
You have to learn about the thing that you're using, and unfortunately, that's going away. Like, as we talked to all these manufacturers at ASTI, it was always the users are not reading their instruction manuals. They are not this issue is clearly lined right here. Yeah.
So Matt, I'm gonna play devil's advocate now, because I've seen so many reasons not to use front load in the repair side.
Yeah.
But I also see the advances, and I'm still skeptical. But for the sales side, can I get front loads more readily than top loads?
So on the scratch and dent side, not necessarily, because there's no stratification between the type of washing machine. You will just get few washing machines relative to all the other stuff. But if the idea is, well, how do I address my customers' needs and maximize my sales opportunities and preserve the limited inventory that I have, if I start with the scratch and dent thing and I upsell them to a thing that has acceptable margins, and I keep that piece for the customer that won't make that mental jump, I have now extracted 3, 4, 5 times the value out of selling that one scratch and dent piece to the first customer that asked for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to be able to keep up. I mean, I was in one of my stores yesterday, and I walked in, and I legitimately looked around, and I'm like, who robbed us? Like, I mean, for the laundry side, I'll tell you, in just one store last week and this week, like 7 days, I sold over 120 pieces of laundry in one store.
Wow.
So like for us to keep up with that, you know how many fridges we sold? We sold 25, maybe 25. And that's between French door, side by side, and top and bottoms, probably like 25. So like even us, we have a problem keeping up with the demand for, and that's just one store out of 9. So like imagine the problems that we have. Like I had to take 2 trucks to one store yesterday, or actually today, because we had 150 pieces gone, or 160 pieces gone in 4 days. Like it was insane. So just to keep up on that scale is even hard.
So I think it's the best strategy to do this from like where you're coming from is a blended model where you have your new in-box stuff that you can upsell people to the items that actually have margin in them, and you don't go out of business trying to sell some stuff from some of these main distributors where they're charging you more than what they sell them for in the big box stores, which is very common. That's not unique to your scenario. It's very common. So you have to get people into products that actually have margin in them, and then you should start playing around with some haulaways and figuring out how you can make that successful. We've done it, and it works really well. But it does take work. It's not, I bring it into my shop and I fix it and I sell it tomorrow. There's a whole process to it to maintain your brand, I guess. I mean, if you're just going to bring stuff in and fix it and sell it and not really care as much about the finished result, I mean, that's literally what all our competitors do. And that's why they don't have a brand. But if you're going to protect your brand while you do it, there's a science to it. There's a whole process to figure out how to do it right. And it is extremely profitable and is it's the biggest chunk of the products that you're going to sell.
Good. Looks like a pretty good time to wrap up.
There you go. Well, cool. Well, you guys got anything else to go over on this one? I feel like we covered a lot of topics here.
Well, we'll drop a teaser for the next week. As mentioned, stay tuned next week. We'll do a little demo and show and tell on the sales site.
Mm-hmm.
We hope to have better functionality and a little more visual pleasing content. So we're pretty excited. I honestly believe that the e-commerce side is a huge secret weapon that we're going to be able to get, because not everybody comes into the store, and if we can pull people in from online, that's going to be a big secret weapon.
Yep.
So
I haven't been to very many stores where I haven't gone to their website first, and your customers do that too. So cool. All right. Well, this has been a great episode, and we will see you guys on the next one.